Hey, it's Gaming Without Parole.
Oh, hey. Didn't see you there.
Yeah, we're just sitting in the dressing room, towel around our shoulders, sipping on a...
Somebody put the green screen up.
Yeah. Across from me is Bryan Paul.
Oh, and across from me is the ever-illustrious Mike Zeller.
Yep. So, this week, we decided we were going to talk about games released for obsolete systems.
Yeah, new games for old systems.
Yeah, which I told Brian he's taking the lead on because he's got about 3 times as many of them as I do.
Well, yeah, and just to be fair here, I've got a cursory knowledge of most of these. A lot of, I think, the entertainment of this episode is going to be behind us on the old TV screen, so you can kind of see new games for old systems. Right?
Yeah. I mean, it's a concept I think that we're both very much in favor of.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I always get excited when I see, like NG Dev Team coming out with something else, or Super Fighter Team localizing one of their weirdo Chinese RPGs.
I would like it even more if like Yacht Club Games would put Shovel Knight on the actual Super Nintendo. Like, how well would that turn out? I'm curious.
Yeah, that could probably work technically. It definitely would not be an NES game. There's no way that would fly, but it could probably work on the Super Nintendo.
Yeah. Not 16:9.
No,
4:3.
Yeah, no. That should be their next, whatever their next like Kickstarter is. They should do that as one of the donor tiers. You get the game on your choice of an old obsolete system.
That'd be awesome.
That would be awesome.
Very cool. All right, so we're going to jump right into it because I do have a lot to get through.
Yeah.
And I'm breaking it up in a little bit of a weird way. I'm breaking it up in terms of who released these games.
Yeah.
So sometimes that won't be the developer. More often it's where you can find them still for sale. Starting with, and I know it's going to be reflective here, so there we go. I can actually see it not reflective. This is called Drake and Yimp. YMP. And it's not Drake, it's Dork.
Sounds like a sex thing.
It's DORKE, so not Drake. Dork and Yimp, YMP. So this is an unreleased Super Nintendo game. Check it out.
I know, I haven't seen
Super
this one
Nintendo
before.
game from the early 90s. Is by a Swedish developer called...
That sounds promising.
Swedish
Super Nintendo unreleased game.
Yep, is called Norse, was the developer. And it's this super colorful platformer. It's not the greatest game of all time. But it is very cool and just a good way to kind of jump off here.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Gonna move on.
Yeah, I feel like that's another thing that as much as a lot of those unreleased games were definitely unreleased for reasons.
Yes.
It is still cool when they come out. When it's I'm never gonna resent. Even if they're not any fun to play, I'm never gonna resent the opportunity to explore somebody's creative endeavor.
It's gaming history as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
It's not, these might not be like the creme of the creme de la creme of our hobby, but it's interesting to see games that maybe you saw previewed in Electronic Gaming Monthly. And you go, whatever happened to those? Well, there are people out there who also want to know what happened to them and actually hunted down the people who made that game
and killed them
for it. They got the source code and then completed it like
blood.
Wrapped up. A lot of death happening right now.
Yeah. Those Swedes, they're out of control. Such violent people.
That's kind of the cool thing about this.
Yeah.
Is to actually, people still have the source code for games that never came out.
Yeah.
And then these people go into the code and tie up all the loose ends.
Yeah.
Sometimes add new levels, which is amazing.
Yeah, especially because these, as much as they will often be kind of expensive on the secondary market, I can't imagine these people are making much money from this. This has to be a labor of love. I mean, they're producing maybe a couple thousand copies in most cases, maybe.
This first batch from Pico Interactive, which you just go to their website, PIKO Interactive.
Look at this one.
Yep, go ahead. It's these are all totally available. There's no limited print run on these. Just they're $30 or $40 a piece, and they're cool for the most part. Again, more of a curiosity thing than anything. This one is called. Let's see, make sure there's no reflection here.
Yeah.
This is called Broken Circle. Broken Circle is a turn-based RPG based on Norse mythology. Developer was Seven Raven Studios. And it was just yet again another unreleased Game Boy Advance game that these people went in and tied up the loose ends for. This is clunky as all hell, right? It looks like it was half baked.
Yeah.
And they really did tie up the loose ends halfway through.
Yeah.
It looks nice in the stills. You can see like nice isometric view.
Yeah.
It doesn't move very well, and it's a little weird to control. But it looks like it has potential. And I didn't make it very far because it's clunky.
Yeah.
But it's cool. And very different from our next game.
There's gonna be this off screen, this pile of like broken games. Brian's destroying his collection as he goes through.
Destroying it for you.
Exactly.
The loyal viewer.
Exactly.
What's up, Thundercloud?
Yeah, I love that guy.
Really? Next one is, you said now you saw this one.
Yeah, I've actually played not a ton of it, but a fair amount, and it was pretty fun.
It's called World Reborn. I don't know if there's any chance we're not getting a glare on this one.
Well.
And so this is a shooter.
Yeah, it's shmup as they're called.
Shmup.
With a little bit more, like, you can kind of move between stages. I mean, it's been a while since I played it, but pretty good controls, solid graphics. The shooting wasn't half bad.
Yeah, the graphics were pretty nice on this one. This one you could tell was definitely it was developed, but
it was done, wasn't it? And it just
close,
never, it never got released. So
early 2000s. The interesting thing about this is that what kind of separates it from other horizontal shmups, I hate that word.
Yeah,
I really do. Is that there's an XP system.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like this shooter RPG.
It almost reminded me of forgotten classic Sigma Star Saga.
Right on. Yeah, this is a good one. This is
definitely
really some of the better graphics on the Game Boy Advance. Mm-hmm. And then finally the last Pico interactive one.
You're not going to throw that one because it's too good.
I don't want to throw any more of them. This one is the glare here is crazy. So we'll just,
who set this place up?
Some jackass. This one totally rips off. I'll put the image up there.
Yeah.
It's called Nguna.
I'm gonna look at this one too.
It's called Warriors of Virtue, Nguna, and they just totally ripped off the Final Fantasy logo. Right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
That's exactly what a Final Fantasy logo looks like.
But that's a good logo, you know?
Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
As far as rip-offs go.
So I've played quite a bit of this one, and it's only, from what I've been told, a couple hours long. So I'm probably about halfway through.
Yeah.
It is a brand new, and this is what I like. You know, it's like, sometimes you go and find old code and you finish up a game, but this is a brand new game for the Game Boy Advance by a guy named Nathan Tolbert, an action RPG very similar to like Zelda. It is, like I said, very short, but I think of all of them, these two, World Reborn and Nguna, totally worth your money.
Yeah.
Go check those out. All right, next up, something that you know about.
Is it? Oh yeah, good old Piersol.
That's right.
Yeah, this is kind of the Piersol is held up as sort of the classic of the homebrew released on an obsolete console games. It originally came out as a Genesis / Mega Drive game way back.
Very limited.
Yeah, very limited. It came with they had a Sega CD version too that came with like the soundtrack that you could put in play the CD soundtrack that you could put into play with the Genesis.
The cartridge.
Yeah,
I didn't even know that kind of thing was possible.
Yeah, it was really pretty fascinating, and they went all out. I mean, you've got the package there with the bubble wrap. I have the Sega Genesis version with the clamshell case and the manual. And it's funny that it turned out so well. And this again is a game that's generally held up as being pretty solid. It feels a lot like the Lunar games. Yep. It's got that same kind of vibe, and
it looks a little bit like
it does. It originally started as like a fan game on some forum that I don't remember, where they were making a video game starring the people in the forum. Like the most like shitty, self-indulgent kind of like, let's make a game about us. And we're all on the internet. And then that somehow turned into this pretty awesome like fantasy RPG.
The version I have is the Dreamcast version.
Yeah,
it's great. I think
that's their most recent port, or they moved it. They put it on Steam recently too.
Yep, it's on it's on everything. It's on Xbox One, PS3, PS4, Dreamcast, Ouya. If anyone still has one of those laying around, Wii U.
That's probably an Ouya killer app, really.
I mean, it might be one of the few things worth playing.
Yeah.
The reason mine's not taken out of the package is because I'm a ridiculous collector. But even more than that is that I bought it on PlayStation 4 like a year or two ago. Yeah. And if I'm going to play it, I'm going to play it for trophies.
Yeah.
And just leave this and maybe sell it one day to pay my mortgage.
Yep. It's a good plan.
And the other one I want to talk about by Watermelon.
Oh, yeah. I did a little bit of research on this, but you'll have to fill in the gaps.
No, there we go. I think that looks okay. This one is called Sacred Line. This is not the cool version of it. This is their kind of ghettoized version.
Yeah.
Also sold out now, though. You can open this up and create your own box from the included material.
That's so awesome.
It's called Watermelon Bits. I'm not sure how I feel about it. It definitely takes up less space on my shelf. I wish I had the big box version, but this is cool because it's a graphic adventure novel.
It's like a horror game.
It is a horror game. And there's multiple endings, and you just choose a text-based adventure game. You choose what you want to do next. I haven't played it. I've watched videos of it being played. Very interesting. And it's I don't know if this is new or not. I don't know if this was an old thing. I'm assuming it's new. Somebody made it recently.
Oh, this game?
Yeah, like it wasn't like a reclaimed thing from the
I don't think so. I think
something.
it was, when I was looking around on their site, I'm pretty sure they said it was from scratch. Most of their stuff is from scratch.
I wish I knew who Sasha Darko was, because it's Sasha Darko's Sacred Line.
Yeah, I don't know. Their website was kind of hard to navigate.
It does, yeah, I don't think there's much going on their website.
Well, that was the thing when I was digging around. So they've got some new like high-end brawler which I was like, oh, awesome! I love these. Like a belt scroller. Yeah. And it was a Kickstarter, apparently, or not a Kickstarter. It was like their version of the Kickstarter.
There's like Type X and Type Y or something like that.
There's
two different games that they don't really have names for.
Yeah, and it was one of those games, and it's like they took everybody's money, and now they haven't updated in like a super long time. Yeah. I mean, they do have two like from scratch games under their belt, so
they're coming.
It will come out, but yeah.
Yeah, they just didn't. They just need to keep us posted on these things.
Yeah. It looks awesome though. Although I'm kind of reluctant to donate money right at the moment.
Yeah,
inspire a little bit more confidence, and then I'll give you my money.
Now this next game, I think we both received our copies soon after we met each other. So early on in our friendship, I think.
Yeah, you got yours a lot quicker than I got mine, I think.
True. I'd gotten mine before the New Year, before Christmas, and yours was like February or something, I think.
Yeah, it's quite a bit later.
But this one, in a protective case, so this is really going to be tough to see.
Yeah.
This one is called, this one's called Nightmare Busters. You want to tell us about that one?
Yeah, it's this weird, it's kind of like Contra, if instead of buff soldiers, you played as the Lucky Charms leprechaun.
Yep.
And you threw playing cards and such at goblins, I guess, and ghosts.
All sorts of evil entities.
Yeah, it's a game that I remembered from one screenshot in Nintendo Power, like 25 years ago. And I was like, oh, that looks so cool. And then it just kind of never came out. And I think, it's not Super Fighter Team's latest port. I think they've brought a couple other Genesis games out since then.
I don't know what the latest ones are. They definitely have like a few that came out before
of these types of groups. Super Fighter Team is probably the most prolific, I would say.
Yeah, I'd say so.
They've had quite a few.
But this is a nice looking
it's
Super
gorgeous.
Nintendo game. It's hard as balls.
Yeah,
we tried to play this and it was like almost impossible.
I think we got to level 3 before we got wiped out, which I think there's only like 5 or 6 levels, so that's not too bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, it definitely feels a little, as good as it looks, it feels a little unpolished. There's certain moments where it feels like I don't know how I was supposed to not get hit there.
Yep.
Or
there's a lot of that. There's also there's no explanation. There's like these things you're collecting everywhere, and there's no real explanation as to what any of these things do. But there's probably a manual in that box that I've neglected to read, like I always do.
Yeah. But it's a cool game, and I definitely it's probably one of the pricier ones of what we've talked about today.
Maybe.
I think with the manual and the case and everything, it came out in shipping. It came out to like $60 or $70.
That sounds about right.
But it's pretty cool. I don't resent or regret buying it.
Super Fighter Team, for a while, they were sold out of all of their stuff, but they have recently decided to make things available for a second printing.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, just got I forgot about this. Magic Girl came very bottom next to Blades of Vengeance on the very second from the bottom.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Grab that.
Yeah, why not?
As I vanish off the side of the
Because
screen.
this literally just This literally just came in the mail, and I was like, I'll check this out in a few days when I have a chance, and I put it on the shelf and totally forgot about it.
Whoopsie daisy.
Magic Girl, I wasn't even prepared for this one.
So Super Fighter Team mainly localizes like non-Japanese Asian games.
Yeah.
They tend to focus a lot on the Genesis in particular, but they've done a few. I mean, Nightmare Busters is Super Nintendo, Super Famicom. They did some Lynx games. They're really. Don't they have some game that's all about like weasels or something? It's like a shooter about weasels.
Maybe.
Yeah. And they've done a few PC like fighting games, but they tend to look for like Chinese or Korean RPGs or shooters to localize.
I imagine getting the rights to those things is pretty cheap.
Yeah, that's right? I think that's, and these are all official. Like they're not like ripping these people off. They are paying for the rights, as I understand it. So.
Right. These are not like reproduction people or anything like that.
Right.
So the other ones that I actually, when these came up for a second printing, I did order these. There's Beggar Prince.
Mm-hmm.
There's Star Odyssey, and The Legend of Wukong.
Yeah.
To varying degrees, they all have a good reputation.
I'd say Beggar Prince is probably the most highly regarded.
And Legend of Wukong probably the least regarded.
Yeah.
However, still very again an interesting side note to our gaming hobby.
Yeah. Did you hear the new thing? If you pre-order Beggar Prince, you're entered into a raffle to randomly win a like a programmer's copy. What do they call those?
Not prototype.
Yeah, essentially like a prototype copy of it.
I got the email and I was like, this looks really cool, but I just hope I win because I'm not buying one.
Yeah. That's pretty much. I think I'm going to order it. Beggar Prince always looked pretty cool. I'm a little disappointed. Their second run, though, is not going to have the clamshell case. It's going to have the cardboard. Which much like actual...
This is solid, though.
Yeah.
This is nice looking. And and the later Genesis games didn't have clamshells, which was stupid.
The art that the original run of Beggar Prince had like kind of shitty looking art, but then they redid it with like the two kids and the lion guy, the cat guy on the front, and it looks super cool. I love that image.
This is great because it's actually going to be on the shorter side of our shows.
Yeah,
getting closer to the half hour than the other ones.
Yeah.
The final three that I have are probably three of my favorites.
Nice.
Three of my favorites.
Are we going to cover
You
the...
know what? I'm not even close to being done.
Yeah, I was going to say, you got like another whole pile there.
I don't think I wrote down half of this stuff.
The incident.
So the incident is let's get rid of these. Gently.
Where's Jovi? We need an assistant.
Dude, when I was putting up the green screen today, I was like, damn, we really do need to... If I could hire somebody...
We need an intern.
On the Gamescast, I put out a request. If anybody's looking to be an intern, come here and make me coffee, and put up green screens and edit our videos, and we're not going to pay you anything. And if
part
you're
of the course with interns.
If you're cute, there's handcuffs next to the bed. The incident... The incident is by Kahan Games. Kahan, I forget what it stands for, but it's the guy's name, if I'm right. Like, first letter K. Is that somebody? Damn it.
It's spelled K. Han.
I'm just really hoping his name's on the back of this, and it's really not. That's too bad. But the incident is just like the game we were making fun of last week, Boxy Boy.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a ton of those kind of games where it's just like quirk and all those things.
Yeah.
Pushing blocks around. But the great thing about the incident is that it actually adds story between each level. So every time you complete a level, you find a little bit more about the incident. And apparently, it's very emotional. And a really well-written game.
Is it like Guns N' Roses' Spaghetti Incident?
No.
Oh.
No. However, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Also by Kahan Games this is a strange one.
Yeah. the legality of this is perhaps a little dubious.
Very questionable.
Yeah.
This is Larry in The Long Look for a Luscious Lover. And it is basically, for all intents and purposes, it's a remake of the original Leisure Suit Larry PC graphic adventure game. The guy who made this, Mr. Cahan himself, God, I wish I knew his name. He reached out to Al Lowe, the creator of Leisure Suit Larry, and could not get the rights to Leisure Suit Larry. Like, I don't think he was ever denied. Like, just no one responded.
Yeah.
And so after,
I don't think Al Lowe owns them anymore. He doesn't work for Sierra or anything. So
you don't think he took the rights with him? No. No. I mean, I don't know how the
Isn't
old days
Sierra
of Sierra
owned
worked.
by
Vivendi?
Vivendi, yeah, who has seemed to just be like really shitting all over everything that they've.
Yeah, those episodic King's Quest games are meh.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, they're rip off of like the Telltale Walking Dead games and that kind of stuff. It's bad.
Did you hear about Telltale Batman?
Yeah. Did you hear about Batman VR?
I did. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Anyway,
so this is a remake, a really strange remake, and it's awesome. And I'm just glad it exists. I don't know why. I don't know why I care, but it's phenomenal.
Yeah, no, it's cool.
And moving on to
this Retro Zone.
So it's Retro USB, right?
Yeah,
Retro Zone.
It used to be. Well, yeah, it is Retro USB. I think it's called. It used to be.
Yeah, it even says Retro Zone on this,
Yeah.
but this is a strange set of games because they're all made by different people. So this is just who sells them.
Yeah.
This is another Cahan game called Study Hall. Bossy. And it's kind of... We played this together when it came in.
Yeah,
it wasn't,
we used to have our gaming nights.
Which we should have been filming.
Yes,
that would have been great.
That would have been very productive.
Let's watch Brian spend money is what it should have been called.
Yes. And we have like a counter in the side of the screen just spill. Ching, ching.
God, I'm so sad.
As I'm like hooking my Sega Saturn up to the TV, you just see it like spinning like crazy.
Yeah, ever since Little Ralph showed up.
Oh, Little Ralph. I know, that was the beginning of the end. There was a moment as I was playing that game that I was just like, I'm unleashing something I shouldn't be here.
Yeah, I was already addicted enough to buying video games, and Mike didn't make it any better. Study Hall is great. I just noticed on the front of it says Study Hall by Cahan Games, our third release.
Ooh.
I like that. This is sort of a ripoff of Donkey Kong Jr.
Yeah.
But it's a good one. It looks like it's played on notebook paper. Like, just look at the video behind this.
Yeah.
It looks great.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's super cheap. You can still get these on retrousb.com or something.
Yeah, I think they dumped all of their repro games, but any of their there must have been some kind of legal issue, but any of their original stuff is still there.
Oh, this is Larry again. Oop,
yep.
Knocking that one. Dope. I think you can handle the next two.
Yeah, Battle Kid 1 and 2. Battle Kid 1 and 2.
Oh, no, it's green.
Ah,
it's not even here.
It's not, yeah, you can hold... Well, that one's kind of green, too.
Yeah,
but,
they're all missing in action.
Battle Kid is sort of a fascinating game because it was inspired essentially by I Wanna Be the Guy, which itself was inspired by, hard NES games like Mega Man and Castlevania and that kind of stuff. It's sort of a Metroidvania type deal. You've got this big open world. It's divided up a lot more harshly by screens. Every screen is, one TV size wide. And it's very, like I Want to Be the Guy, it's very puzzly almost. There's a lot of little traps and tricks. It's not quite as mean as I Want to Be the Guy. The checkpoints are a little more generous. The rules make a little bit more sense. But it's got that same kind of feel to it. I gave up partway through because it was just brutally difficult, but I bought the second one anyway, so
did I.
Yeah, but it's that same kind of Metroid feel though, where you walk around, you pick up upgrades, and there's you can teleport between different areas after a while.
Really well done.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I mean, I think it was again like one guy made this for the NES. It's
music,
quite.
I love the music.
Yeah, it's very good music. The graphics have a little bit of a like Mega Man knockoff feel to them, but
definitely.
But it's not bad.
Yeah, if you're gonna knock something off, that's not a bad one.
Yeah, you might as well steal from the best.
Yeah. And I'm gonna save this for last because it's my recommendation.
Okay.
Anomalous. I don't even know how I ended up with this game.
I don't know if I've heard of this one.
It's called Anomalous: Storming the Cat Soul.
Oh, it's the cat game.
Yeah. It's
I have
real bad.
heard of this. Yeah.
It's not okay. It's not horrible, but the controls are not very good. It's just look. It's average. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh.
Died again.
Right into the spikes.
And this is sort of one of those that when I was super into buying new games for old systems, I was just kind of getting into it. I just was scooping up everything that I could find, and I'd heard about this one, grabbed it, and slightly disappointed, but it's the uniqueness of it alone, a worthy addition to my weirdo collection. So. Not recommending.
It's like an action platformer or something, right?
It is.
Like
it is
a janky one.
The controls are just really what gets it.
Yeah, it's got a bit of that. What the hell is it called? Iron Sword. What was the first? Game? Iron Sword was number 2. What was it Magic and Monsters or something? What the hell was this game?
Wizards and Warriors.
Wizards and Warriors.
Yeah,
there we go.
Rare.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Why were you bringing that up? Sorry.
Isn't that kind of what Anomaly is like?
It's very similar, yeah. Yep, definitely has that feel. I still need Wizards and Warriors 3. I have been looking for that forever, and every time I find one, the label is just destroyed. I hope it hasn't gotten super expensive. I'm sure it has.
Like everything.
Yeah. So,
anyway.
2 more to go.
Okay.
This one I think you'll really love, and I should have brought this in with the original set of Pico interactive games. I forgot that it was a Pico game. And I think this one you will really like. This is your kind of game.
Water Margin.
This is called Water Margin, A Tale of Clouds and Wind. And if you want to check out what that looks like,
sure.
This is a Sega Genesis brawler.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's very, very golden axy.
Yeah.
But it's it was, again, I think it was one of those games that was previewed in Electronic Gaming Monthly and just never came out, and now widely available. On Pico Interactive.
The Water Margin being one of the classic stories of Chinese literature, along with The Journey West, and was the Legacy of the Three Kingdoms.
Inuyasha, The Journey West? Is that what that was?
It's all kind of based off. The Dragon Ball was based off of The Journey West. The Water Margin is Suikoden.
Are you an Avatar fan?
Avatar: The Last Airbender. It's okay. I was never really into it.
Just started watching it. I'm hooked. Absolutely love it. Now, moving on. So, there's one more game that I'm going to talk about that's actually part of a set of 2 games. And this is, I think, my favorite. This is also my recommendation for the week. This is called The Mad Wizard, a Candelabra Chronicle. Now, there is a review of this up on Without Parole Games. So go to Without Parole Games.
Yeah, that was one of your first...
It was one of my backlogs.
One of your earlier backlog
where
reviews.
I did a little monologue before the review. Grew out of that fairly quickly. I realized that people don't want to see somebody talking about a game before they see the game, because I don't want to see that either. But yeah, this is great. The Mad Wizard is it's about 3 hours long, I think, maybe 3 or 4. If you take your time. There are tons of power-ups. It is very Metroidvania, but it is just so well done. The music is catchy. The graphics are charming, if a little bit primitive. And I just love everything about this game. It's by a company called Sly Dog Studios, who I still can't find much information about. Like, they put out this amazing game, and then not much before or after. The caveat to that is that they did come out with a sequel, which I think is a prequel.
Yeah. It's you play the villain or something.
The Rise of Among Us.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a shooter. It's like this weird. It
looked kind of janky.
It looks kind of janky, and so that's why I only have this one, and I don't have that one. I'm not willing to spend the $40 because I saw the video of it. I'm like, and maybe it's fun. Things don't always look good that are good. But I'm really hoping they make a proper sequel. The Mad Wizard 2 would be phenomenal, because this game is this is one of my favorite Nintendo games of all time, and it's new.
It's one of the few times I've bought a game on Brian's recommendation.
Have you played it?
A little bit. Yeah.
It gets way better.
Okay. I was thinking, I got to the first boss and I was like, this is kind of shitty.
The first boss is really difficult.
Yeah. Because you can't really jump.
But you can the first boss is difficult because you definitely feel overpowered when you get there. and you'll get killed a few times before you really get the timing down.
Yeah.
And you find out when you can shoot, when you can't, when you should hover, when you can't. And it's just, you don't feel like you should be fighting that boss when you do. And then everything after that gets a lot easier.
Okay, yeah. It's probably kind of like Bionic Commando. Once you get used to not really being able to jump, it's... Yeah.
And once you get more powers, and you can float higher, you can float longer, you can shoot, your shots are more powerful.
Yeah.
You learn to teleport, you can summon a box to help you get to different places.
Yeah, because you feel really underpowered. Like, even compared to Metroid, which you're kind of wimpy when you start out, like, you definitely felt very vulnerable.
Yeah. It's a great game, though, and I hope Sly Dog makes some more games. This is obviously just scratching the surface of all these amazing new games for old systems. Yeah,
I was kind of surprised. Well, not really in retrospect, but you didn't mention, and this is sort of my blanket recommendation, you didn't mention NG Dev Team, which they do brand new games for the Neo Geo, which... Not that everybody needs to start collecting for the Neo Geo.
That's one that I've already said, no, just not going to happen. It makes me sad to know that I'm so priced out of that collection.
One of my classic Brian memories is when I asked him to come try to help me move my Neo Geo into my basement.
Also, when I met your parents.
Yes, and it was a nightmare. It was just it was a massive failure. We had like 6 people there, and we could not get this thing down the friggin' bulkhead steps.
We were in a band at the time. Right.
Yes, so we had our drummer.
You, me, and Joel, our drummer.
Who's about half our size.
Very small guy. Yeah. And there was a lot of standing around staring at that arcade cabinet. Where is it now?
It's still on my porch under a tarp.
So have you not played it since that day?
It's screened in. I mean, it works.
No, right, but it's just a shame.
Yeah. The reality was we felt like there's a good chance whoever goes down these steps first is going to die. Yeah. Nobody wanted to take that first step.
I was willing to do it, and your dad was like, your parents, I think, were just vehemently against anyone hurting themselves doing this.
Yeah.
Which is probably the smarter move.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of mad at the time, I remember, because we put so much effort into
just getting everyone there.
Yeah. But, yeah, I think I'm going to have to pay some people to move it for me, unfortunately. The people that moved our piano at work said they charge like $50, which...
That's not bad at all.
It's not bad.
At least if one of them dies, it's not your... you paid for that. It's like a hit.
Yeah. That's a cheap hit, too.
Real cheap. I guess some people... Oh, wait a minute. How can we use this to our advantage?
So, NG Dev Team. Moving on from killing people for money. NG Dev Team. I actually own most of these games because eventually they port almost all of them to the Dreamcast. Which is substantially cheaper and easier to... even though I own a Neo Geo, I'm not going to spend $500 on one game.
There are so many games I should have pulled out for the Dreamcast for this.
I know.
I'm glad I didn't, because this is all...
I was thinking, we've played Dreamcast games. But NG Dev Team, I'm sure that's short for Neo Geo Dev Team, but the name is copyrighted.
Development team.
Yeah. But they do mostly shmups, the word we hate, but it's a cool genre, and they've done some really, really good ones. Fast Striker, Last Hope.
Andrew Dunnis?
Yes.
Is that how it's pronounced?
Is he the guy?
No, the game.
Oh, I don't know if they've done that one.
No. Maybe I have a ripoff.
Yeah, they did Neo XYX, and they did, if you're a fan of Turrican, which I've heard you Europeans are.
Strange. I never thought that was a good game, but I didn't realize there was such a big following.
Pretty vehement fan base. Crazy. But they did a game called Gunlord, which is sort of like a new age Turrican, and they're all very good. They're all a lot of fun. They hold up very well against any Cave and Cavia games.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm just picturing all the games sitting on the shelf over there that I should have brought over.
Well,
so glad I didn't, because there's so much work to be done getting all this video up here.
Yeah. So Krautbuster is their new one, which seems kind of racist.
A little bit racist.
But it's their take on Metal Slug, and it is very much a ripoff of Metal Slug, but good, I guess.
Yeah. Right on. That was good.
All right, yeah, that was good. We did a good job, I think.
We did. It was episode 41.
Nice. We're over the milestone now.
That's right.
It's just we're looking the grave dead in the eye.
Right, still covering up the graves, though.
Yeah. Well, this has been Gaming Without Parole. Now, last time, he's Bryan Paul.
And I'm Bryan Paul.
Goodbye.
And that's Mike Zeller. He's ever so illustrious.
Beat it. We're done. I gotta go home and have dinner.
We'll see you next week. It's dinner time.